The young man who's our guest speaker, as you know, some of you don't have never met him. I doubt that, but I'm sure you have. He had one of the best SP promotions I've ever seen, ever seen. Now, Martin Cerruto in my opinion was number one. Now he's number two. But this gentleman's SVP promotion was amazing. Go back on YouTube and watch it. He had Marvin Sapp sing, brought the stadium down. I mean, co-founder sitting on the edge of their seat with eyes open, mouth. I mean, it was crazy. Les Brown was standing by him, his other father. I mean, just amazing. He's a mentor and a coach to thousands of people. He's been at it for a while. Before I came to ACN, he was already over ACN, so he was one to follow. Does that make sense? So I looked up to him. He's a dear friend. He's a great father. He loves his son, but more importantly, he loves his mama. That boy, I mean, mama could call right now. He got to run. He truly cares for people and also want to see everybody succeed. Without further ado, my dear friend from the Southern California area, Mr. Byron Nelson, Senior Vice President.
Oh, I am so honored to be here. For those of you who don't know, the master of masters, Mr. Al Thomas, I'm honored to be on this call. It's been a minute. I'm very excited, very excited, more excited than I've ever been since going RVP in this company. And, you know, if you're lucky enough, blessed enough to work with Mr. Al Thomas, what he provides in this space is ridiculous. There's no reason and no way in heaven you should be on this call without 5, 6 extra people on this call. That's just the bottom line. I'm not here to preach or give you a sermon about what you didn't do. What I am going to tell you is just what I have been doing. And I've been really falling back into a space that allows me to reinvent myself. So that if you want to start with notes, that's what I would start with, is reinventing myself. Right. And for this month, it takes a minute. There's a reason why you do a 90-day run, right? A 90-day run in this business. Why you hear people going RD or, you know, RVP or whatever business they do within 90 days. And it's because you have to look at what you do. You have to reflect. You have to take notes on what didn't work and then figure out what does work. And so I apply this to all my businesses right now. And so I literally have made a conscious decision. Where are we in August? So I made a decision back in June that if I'm going to do this, meaning if I'm going to really run with ACN, if I'm going to really run with the matrix, then I need to be the example. Does that make sense? Nod your head for those that understand what I'm saying, right? So we all know about, you have to be the example that people want to follow. And I only know how to sit on a branch for so long. You know, no matter how much money I make. I mean, I've diversified, I've leveraged. But what I did is I decided to take just a handful of individuals that I normally charge $10,000 for a weekend and incorporate that into my ACN business. That means that there's 3 levels of money. So you're very clear about that. Number 1 is knowing how to make money. Well, even if you get a welfare check, you make money. Number 2 is knowing how to keep money. And then number 3 is learning how to make it expand. Now, before we start talking about making money, let's really apply this to what we're doing within the system of ACN so you understand how ACN plays a part in my tentacles of being able to leverage money into 7 different streams of income. Like Mr. Al Thomas, we both believe in multiple streams of income. I have a real estate LTD. I've leveraged through crypto into now pushing into the 7-figure mark. I am doing amazing things with options. But I remembered a conversation that was done by Damian Lillard, for those who know basketball. And they asked me, said, you're making all these millions of dollars doing commercials. You're making all these millions of dollars with your brand. You're doing you got your own power drink. You have your own tennis shoe. He said, what drives you? He said, what got me all those streams of income was my craft. He said, when I fall in love with my craft, everything else becomes available to me. And so my craft was ACN. My craft is ACN. and will always be. Does that make sense, Najee, if you guys are with me? Because what I became through the process of being who I needed to become is a masterpiece. You know, it's not ego. It's just you gain a confidence of when you learn this. Listen to me. It's not just a confidence. It's a skill set. And then I had to go back to when I was running to RVP and SVP and figure out really what does it take to succeed? What does it take? And you know, I love Confucius' conversation. Confucius says, if you chase two rabbits, you'll catch neither. I also love Mike Tyson's conversation. Everybody has a plan till they get hit in the face. So I took that to heart and I said, okay, and this was a conversation with myself, right? How many of you guys have had conversations with yourself? It's okay, not your head, right? You should have a whole lot of them, by the way. When you're having success, you should have a whole lot of them. When you're not having any success, you should have a whole lot of them. And when you don't know what to do, you should go find God. So I'm gonna say that again. When you're having a lot of success, have a conversation with yourself. When you're not having success, have a conversation with yourself. And when you don't know what to do, go find God. And God should be on both the top and the bottom, because you wouldn't get to the top without him, and you wouldn't get out of the bottom without him. So, you know, that should be a constant conversation. That's just me, whoever you call, right? And so I said, let me really have a real conversation with you, Byron. I'm standing in the mirror, I'm having a conversation. Like, if I'm gonna do this, let's build something that is so biblical in proportion. And I had a choice, and I'm sure many of you have come across this choice before. Do I work with my existing team, or do I just go into phase one? And really, until you get to a top 10 RD and above, will you really understand that conversation? Do I just scrap my entire team and hope that they just catch it, you know, and somebody comes through the, you know, through the popper, and go and sponsor 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 new people myself? Or, you know, do I work with what is existing? And then in that conversation lived the integrity of how many people count on me, and how many people rely on what I say, what I do, and what I've promised over the period of time. They don't care about what's going on in your life. It's just people are hanging on. Does that make sense? Nod your head if that's making sense. So I went to the oldest scribe that I had in regards to having success in this business. And I'm going to talk fast because I want to get to the meat of this conversation of how you're able to master this game and how it's able to leverage you in whatever other places you want. My philanthropy is flying. My real estate is off the chain. But I said, I need my machine. I can't stay stagnant. I need my Ferrari. I got to get back in sixth gear. I've just been like, you know, you get to SVP, I'll Thomas to tell you, it's very easy to just put it in the garage, you know, make sure the engine's running, make sure it's shiny, and make sure that the value is kept up on it, and be like, look, I got my Ferrari, y'all too much work. But then I went and I took my organization down from 2,000 people down. And then I think somewhere about in the beginning of this year, I took it down to 200 people to work with. And then I took it from there and I took it down by March to about 75 people. And then I took it down to about June to about 7. I said, I'm eliminating everybody else. I don't care who came in, because write this down. I'm looking for you, looking for me, looking for you. You'd be amazed how many people get into an opportunity, and because of the money and their desperation for money, they're trying to work 2 and 3 and 4 things. When you have someone like an Al Thomas or someone like me, why wouldn't you go to a person who has already generated so mass? I mean, I don't care what you're doing. A mentor is not applied. You don't go to a mentor just because of a company. And I'm going to share this so that you're very clear about this. What allows us to thrive in the top 1, 2, 3 percentile is not what we do, it's who we are. And let me ask you, if we were sitting down over a cup of coffee, how many people do you have on your phone? Not you've been in another company, or you're in real estate, or you're working for Century 21, or you work in engineering. How many people do you have on speed dial that you? And you're like, one, and I know we aren't supposed to talk about money, but I'm going to tell you, does it not tell you something that if you have access to an SVP, you have access to a founder, that you're 1 degree separated from a group of individuals that generated over, so I'm going to use statistics of the company so that this can be, public. A company that did over literally, $4 billion in 5 years amongst 4 people. Does that not scream at you? Let alone what the people that helped them build that are able to generate and able to teach you how to generate. Is everybody following me on that? Just nod your head if you guys are following me in the flow of this conversation, because I won't put myself in the suspect space. So looking at that from that perspective, I'm looking and saying, okay, let me give you the 5 levels of success, no matter what you do. Number 1, make a decision. Now, the decision is first for the person in the mirror, and second for who you partner with. And then understand, even if you're blessed enough to make significant money over the course of 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, you still don't know what you're doing for 3 to 5 years. You're clueless. Now, traditional business takes 3 to 5 years to break even. In this business, 3 to 5 years, you can change your family tree. But you'd be amazed how many people don't even give it 90 days of consistent, committed sweat equity. Every person that I've ever enrolled and registered in the business, I said, can you give me 90 days? And you tell me when the start date is. And I promise you, 95% never go the 90-day run of 100% of coachability. And the ones that have and do it, like a Renata, like, so I can go down a list of people, like a Jocelyn Driscoll, they all get where they need to be for themselves, not for me. Does that make sense? Nod your head if you guys are with me. I'm in church. Are y'all with me on that? So when I made that decision, I said, okay, everything starts with the decision. Let's go through those 5 things. Number 1, I have to make a decision. Number 2, I need to put in preparation. Number 3, I'm going to need a plan. Number 4, I'm going to need some significant goals that I know I'm going to accomplish for myself. I do this in the gym. I do this with my real estate. I do this with every venture that I tap into. I do this with my relationship. I do this with everything. I do this with my mom. I'm going to need some goals that if I don't accomplish them, I'm going to die. Like I can't breathe. And if you don't have long-term vision, which is not 90 days, then why don't you start, like when you're doing, for those that understand breathing exercise, start with, why not start with 30 days or 7 days? Now, I'm going to give you a real, what's really the missing link for people who have never made a comma check in this business, definitely not 5 figures. I'll tell you what's missing. So I'm here just to share information this morning. What's missing is accountability. You don't have anybody holding you accountable, and you aren't holding anybody else accountable. And you think somebody's chasing you, and somebody's just trying to bless you. And you're actually not understanding your decisions impact so many other people. And if you have children, especially your children. I went to a guy's house and I shared this. Mr. Al Thomas knows him and maybe 1 or 2 other people on this call. A gentleman by the name of Stuart Top, when I first came in this business, and I hit our SVP. And when I sat there, he only invited the RVPs at the time, which are now SVPs, because at that time you had to earn it by 3 times what it takes to be even an SVP to be an RVP. And there was only about 20 of us that were invited out of maybe 30 people at that time. And I was the last one sitting in his house. I'll never forget it. It was a Christmas party. And he took me on a tour throughout his house. And in his house, he took me to a closet in his room, in his bedroom, massive, beautiful bedroom. In his closet, he showed me his closet and all of that he was able to accomplish in 2.5 years through this business of ACN. This is one of the things that kept me in the business, which is what I'm doing with the squad that I'm working with. His closet was 450 square feet. Now, that's not what was impressive. What was impressive was he said, when I started in this business 2.5 years ago, my apartment was 400 square feet. He said, now my closet is 450 square feet. I can fit my apartment from the day I started in this, when I took it seriously, inside him. I could take my apartment and put it in my closet. That was mind-blowing. He said, I could use my kids as an example. I have this single mother that I'm working with right now, and I'll show you where literally, with no money down, the worst credit, I took her from zero to being able to pay off her entire house in less than, she was about to be homeless. Her home was being foreclosed on. He said, I did that in less than 18 months with this business. Where so many people use the business as an excuse because I'm a single parent. This is what I did. And so I started going back to the scribes of this conversation. And I went back to my old notes. And I went back and had a conversation with a guy you may or may not have heard of called Eric Worre. And then I talked to another 7-figure player who was very extraordinary. I won't go through all the names. It's not a who's who conversation. I'm telling you what I did. I had to go back to regenerate and redesign my own life because I was comfortable and got tired of people. How many of you guys get tired of people? I was just tired of people. I'm like, look, you know what? I'm good. I don't need to talk to nobody ever again. I can take my money and flip it into, 8 figures at this point. I don't need anybody. But then you start to listen and understand God's calling and his anointing on your life and your promise to people. After all these conversations, everything, I came up with the system. And I brought back what got me where I was and being successful in this business. And I took that little thousands of people and brought it down to 7. I said, I'm only going to work with 7 people. Everybody else can plug in. I have people calling me off the hook. What's your schedule for the month? I got RDs and RVPs. What's your schedule for the month? I do a Monday call. That's it. I'm not wasting my time on nobody who's going to make false promises and act like they're going to do something. So if you want to find me, you can always find me on Monday. Been doing it for 2.5 years. That way you can go and intentionally fail by yourself. And then I started sorting, and I came up with my number 7, God's number of completion. Said, let me start with the 7. I'm going to go up to 12. And I'm going to teach them this game. And we started about 40 years ago. I'm already in the Bible. 40 days ago. I started 40 days ago. And said, I'm going to teach them the business. I'm going to teach them how to make money in this business. I'm going to teach them how to replace their income so they never have to work a job. I'm going to teach them the basics. I'm going to teach them how to invest. I'm going to teach them how to leverage. I'm going to teach them how to wake up when they finish sleeping. And we're going to go so ham that I'm going to build the most powerful, ridiculous organization that I've ever done in 25 years in less than 2. And I gave everybody options to do that. And there was only a handful of people that just kept blowing up my phone and blowing up my phone. I said, those are the ones God told me to be able to work with. And we have been going ridiculous. So I want to show you this real quick, right? So I want to show you, Jeffrey, do I have control? I want you to see something for 60 seconds here. I share with them 2 things, and we'll get into the complete meat of this for the last 30 minutes. So I want to share this here. I ask you this question. Can you guys hear me clearly? Can you guys hear me? Okay. I asked you this question. That was only a minute. That was in front of a sold out crowd of over 15,000 people. Sold out, right? Sold out. How many times do you think they practiced that? But people get into this business because they only have to pay $200, $500, $300, or whatever they have to pay. And through osmosis, they pay for another, they pay for a template for, I've trained 3 another person in real estate that owns over the person that I work with directly owns over 148 properties. He's 36 years old. And people hear his story and they're like, oh, that could be me too. But they miss the dynamic of understanding the work ethic it takes to get to this success. And it takes a combination of a mentor who's already done it, that you have on speed dial, that you have to create value for yourself. You might want to write this down. I hope you guys are getting this. You have to create value for yourself that somebody wants to invest in you. You cannot pay $200, $2,000, $5,000. You can't even pay for a convention and learn what you need to learn. You can't go to a 3-day. You can't do it online. You can't get all these different templates and be able to study all this stuff. You have to have someone who has accomplished what you want to accomplish, that has their hand on your neck every day to have greatness and massive, significant incomes hitting your bank account. So we go through, number one, make a decision. Number two, I need to prepare. Don't go on the football field without a helmet. You're going to get your head knocked off. And then you're going to keep starting over and over and over and over and over in a different company. Number three, you have to have a plan, and it better be airtight. Number four, you better have really strong goals of someone who's going to hold you accountable and not let you off the hook with your BS conversation and excuses. And then number five, you have to take significant action. Now, everything starts with the story. There's not a pastor, a priest, there's not a rabbi, there is not a CEO of a company, there's not a president of a company that has, of a country that has not mastered the art of a story. So ironically, I fell in love with this, and I want to share this with you because I want you to know where I'm from. I was born in Chicago and I was raised in Compton. I shared this, my partner Alfredo's on the phone. He knows this conversation because we just had a hard conversation. You always look at the outcome of who I call Al is. Al Thomas is. You look at who Jocelyn is. You look at Renata. You look at Byron. You look at the end result of a Pat Mazur or an Aaron Burr, but you don't know their story. You don't know the pain it took to make somebody pissed off enough to succeed. And because so many people are so used to failing, they actually reside and move in there, making everybody else believe they're going to do something that they aren't willing to pay the price for. So it's ironic that I grew up in my first company. For those who have been around me for a while, know I started in the entertainment industry. One of my first reps I brought in was Sinbad. One of my first reps, my first 12 reps I brought in was Tyrese. All these different names, I'm not here to impress you with that. I left that. I shifted for a lot of reasons. And this is where God placed me. Are you guys with me on that so far? But I have a reverence for excellence. Ironically, there's a movie coming out, and I want to show you this before we actually go into the training template here. And that is being in Compton. Everybody heard the same conversation. My first fight was like, I lived on the cusp of the Pyrus and the Crips. I got scars to prove it. They're on my body still. And I remember I was going in, and it was funny, I was watching a scene from Ghost, I was telling Alfredo yesterday, and it was identical to my father. I literally got into a fight with one of the mascots that was coming up. Monster was on the block, who created the Crips. And they carried me, because I was bloody, to my doorstep. My father said, you have one of two choices. You can come in here and fight me, which you will die, or you can go back out there and you can fight them. But you're going to learn to fight. And that's why I fight so hard for the people that are in my life. And it's funny because all the ones that fought to get out of that space, there's a young lady named Leslie Sykes. She's the anchor of ABC. My sister and her husband, two of the most 10 powerful people in the entertainment industry. Myself, there's a list. I can give you a list. One of my other best friends, all-star on Oakland A's. The ones that wanted to get out here in ACN, we fought. I fought. I know how to fight. Do you know how to fight or just survive is the question. Do you know how to thrive or survive? You might want to write that down because most of you just know how to survive. So you need to link to somebody who knows how to thrive. And funny enough, there's a guy named Richard. He actually trained my sister before his 2 daughters were born. They just made a movie about him because my sister got a full scholarship on tennis and academics to Tufts. She had a full one to Boston U, to Harvard, and Yale. I had one to 3 other colleges. I chose Morehouse. I want you to see this real quick.
What's going on? Everybody okay?
They got a call, said there was trouble in the house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You all need to look around?
It's a little wet for practice, don't you think? Don't the girls have schoolwork to do?
They do their homework. Tundi's first in her class. Lynn and Isha are too.
Now, I don't even mind you saying we hard on these kids. You know why? Because we are. That's our job, to keep them off these streets. You want to check on the kids? Let's check on the kids. We got future doctors and lawyers, plus a couple tennis stars in this house.
The chances of achieving the kind of success that you're talking about is just very, very unlikely.
Okay, you making a mistake, but I'm gonna let you make it. Watch them hit a few balls. All right. So tell me your names again.
I'm Venus. I'm Serena.
So what'd you think? I wrote me a 78-page plan for their whole career before they was even born.
Yeah, baby, yeah!
These girls so great, how come I've never heard of them?
They're from Compton.
It's okay. They're just not used to seeing good-looking peoples like us.
She's nervous. Take a step up.
Maybe she ought to take a few more steps up. Just get someplace safe.
I think you might just have the next Michael Jordan.
Oh, no, brother man. I got me the next, too. What's the next step you got to take? You're not gonna just be representing you. You're gonna be representing every little black girl on earth.
They're not gonna let you down.
How could you? This world ain't never had no respect for Richard Williams, but they gonna respect y'all. You gonna walk out there with your head up. You are a champion, and the whole world knows it. The most dangerous creature on this whole earth. It's a woman who know how to think.
Yes, Daddy.
Ain't nothing she can't do. You gonna show them how dangerous you are? Venus and Serena gonna shake up this world. Venus Williams, who is your best friend?
You, Daddy.
Serena Williams, who is your best friend?
Venus. Then you.
That's
Then you. After
unbelievable.
Venus.
That trailer almost brings me to tears every time I watch it. I probably have watched it at least 20 times now. And I'll tell you why. Because it wasn't about the movie. It's what I lived. That's what was planted in my heart. I don't know what your pride is or who you owe or what your legacy is. But my father sown a seed so big that you be the last broke Nelson in the family tree. And then I have a son. If you have children or a child, it's your responsibility to be great. It's a responsibility to stop playing with what God gives you. I've had 3 people die in my life in the last 7 days. I don't want your empathy. I'm not saying that for sympathy. I'm letting you know I got to go to a funeral today. It's your life on call. So the key to this, which when Jeff called me, what's the key to what you're talking about here? And what are you training on? It's called duplication. I want to give you what we've been working on. And I'm going to tell you the chapters because I have a complete underground training that I'm doing. And I can promise you each of these individuals is a beast. But here's the thing I know about each one of you. So are you. That's why I'm sharing it with you. That's why it's, write this down. It's easier to run with 3 than to drag 1,000. I said, I'm cutting off all the fat, all the meat. I'm going straight to the T-bone. That's all I want is the bone marrow. I don't want to talk to nobody else. If somebody wants to learn from myself or any of the people that I've trained, they better earn the right and beg to get in or go somewhere else. I want them to. I encourage them to. Because if we see greatness in you and you choose to squander the time when we can be doing so many other things, and you're making false promises, I can only imagine the lies you tell your children if you have 1 or 10. And that's not necessarily always your fault, but you need to learn how to live in truth and be honest. What are you doing with your life? So I want to give you these things as far as what we grade on. There's 4 chapters. I'm not going to tell you the whole book in which I'm training my team on. In my squad, I got a hit squad. I got a true sniper squad. Number 1, we train on what we're looking at is the framework of a conversation. Number 2, what we test on is the enthusiasm of your conversation. Number 3, what we test on is the content of your conversation. Number 4, what we test on is the time it takes for you to do it. Less is best. Number 5, what we talk about is reading your audience. And number 6, what we test on is the flow, which one of my students corrected me and changed my conversation, and I love her for it. In that, chapter 1 is mastering the enrollment conversation. The enrollment conversation, I'll just tell you 4 chapters just so you can know, I know what I'm talking about. This isn't off the cusp because we've been in the trenches. I mean, like deep. And in that, what you're looking at is an enrollment conversation. Number 2 is knowing how to work a list. Number 3 is knowing how to overcome objections. Number 4 is knowing how to close. And all of these are linked to tentacles of making money, leverage with a machine that allows you to build a massive residual income. And unless you have a teacher who's taking you step by step through all of these formats, you're going to come up short. So I want to bring on the first one so that you understand what a presentation, or what I call the enrollment, because if you master the enrollment conversation, that's 90% of this business. See, here, let me give you this last note so you have the foundation of understanding the system. We hear about systems all the time. Here's the system. Number 1 is to peak. P-I-Q-U-E. You got to know how to peak. But all of you know how to do that. 90% of people get stopped with what to say after that. And you're relying on Al Thomas or Jocelyn or Renata or somebody to do your conversation for you. Until you take ownership of your conversation and your presentation, you will always be broke in any opportunity that you're in. And you need somebody to take the time to show you, and then you need to put in the work to do it. So we're talking about truly understanding how to peak. I'm giving you the flow real quick so I can get to my people. Peak, master the conversation, know how to do a presentation, know how to get into registration, and then know how to get them to training. That's the system. It's a real simple thing. Peak, conversation, which is the enrollment. And when you understand enrollment, before a person goes to college, what do? They have to enroll. Before they go to a private school and you got your child going to a really elite school, what do? They got to enroll. Before you actually get in here and you actually register, what had to happen? Someone had to enroll you. If you master the enrollment conversation, that is the difference of you making 0 this month and a 5-figure check, is you knowing how to do an enrollment conversation. Now, how much time have you put in on your craft? Because I just showed you what they did with 15,000 people. How many times did they practice that? I just showed you Venus and Serena. How many times they're practicing in the rain at 6 years old? How much work are you putting in on this craft? Well, let's get to it. The first one who I want you to hear is Tammy. And she's like night and day on doing this presentation. So Tammy Williams up there, Jeffrey, could you make sure she can unmute? I want you to hear an enrollment conversation and what it looks like. Can you find her, Jeb? She's still muted. Tammy Williams, upper right corner.
She's unmuted. She's a co-host.
Okay, go ahead, Tammy. Unmute yourself.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Okay. Good morning, Janika. How are you this morning?
She's muted too. That's okay. So I'm gonna send Jeb everybody. You can use me for right now, Tammy.
Okay, thank you. Hello, hello, Mr. Nelson. How are you doing this morning?
Amazing. How are you?
Amazing too. 2 amazing people on the call. Whew, we're gonna have some fun. So listen, in respect of your time, Janika told me that you only have 5 minutes. I only have 3, so this will be a very short call. She told me so many great things about you. I decided to put you at the top of my actual calls that I have scheduled for today. 3 more after our call. She told me that you have an insatiable appetite to help people all over the world You're raising a child, you're helping your mother. And on top of that, you're working 70 hours a week and you still find time to do volunteer work in your community. Now, did you pay her to tell you all those things about me, about you?
No.
Okay, great. Well, you might want to. Let's just get into this. I really only have 3 minutes and I'm looking for 3 people in the next 24 hours. I already have 2. And based on what you told me about you, I know that you're the 3rd person. What I'm looking for is someone that has a strong work ethic, someone wants to change their life today and leave a legacy for their children. Now, she mentioned that you have a goal of firing your boss in the next 3 to 5 years. Is that correct?
Yes.
Excellent. I'll share a story with you about a family, a husband and wife that did the same thing as you. They were told to get a good job, not be job hoppers, that they would actually work their way up to the corporate ladder. And so 14 years, the wife spent at one company, the husband spent 25 years in the same company. The 25-year service, they had the birth of their 3rd child, which was a gift. And the husband actually came home also in that 25 year of service with a gift. It was a pink slip, letting him know that he was going to be a part of a massive layoff. Now, look, the couple considered this a gift because it opened up their eyes, showing them that how they were earning income linear, training their time, a combined 50 hours building someone else's dream was not going to be sustainable anymore for a family of 5. Do you know the impact of losing a 6-figure income for a family of 5? Just imagine that. They didn't live there, but just imagine.
Wow.
Yes. So fast forward to 5 years, this woman went to a women's empowerment event full of all women in the place. Beautiful place. The guest speaker that came on stage was a man, and he shared his wisdom on business strategies, how to leverage, how to earn a residual income doing something once. He asked that wife, if I could show you how you could make the 6-figure income that you lost, no guarantees, working on the residual income that we have to share and earning that on a monthly basis, would I have your attention?
100%.
He had her attention. The woman in the story is me.
Oh, wow.
Now, the team that I'm building, mammoth in proportion, has a global reach. I can tell you so many things about this gentleman. He not only has helped individuals become 6-7-figure income earners, he retired his parents in his 30s, but the family that he told me about, invited me to, is about supporting each other. They're sharing their knowledge and their strategies. We pray together. We help each other with our health and wellness and teach financial literacy strategy that I wish I would have been to this school, and I'm calling it a school. It's a life school. And I went to college and for no reason, I don't understand. I learned more in this space. So listen, what you're being invited to, Mr. Nelson, is not a business. It's a family. I'm sure you can agree. Anything you have done has been great, but I'm sure you know that only teams win championships. And that's what you're being invited to. Now, do I have your attention?
100%.
What I need you to do is get back to Janika within the next 24 hours. Let her know that you're the 3rd person so I can explain to you in about 20 minutes how we can turn your goals and dreams into reality. I look forward to our next call.
I am truly looking forward to it. Thank you.
Excellent. Have a great day.
It's amazing. So then, once you know how to do an enrollment conversation, what is the key to this, as Jeffrey was asking me, is duplication. And duplication comes down to not how well can you do it. Some of you are extraordinary at your conversations. Some of you can probably go out and peak and close 10 or 20 people. But what are you missing? If you only own 1 McDonald's, you're going to go broke. But if you own 20 and you're on the beach, that makes you wealthy. If you can go out there and sponsor 20 people and 30 people, they're going to die on you. Unless you can teach 2 or 3 people how to do what you do that exponentially grows, that's what makes you wealthy. That's what gets you to SVP. That's what takes your money to the next level. So I want you to understand the yin and the yang. The yin was the enrollment conversation. The yang is, can you teach the enrollment conversation? And for that, I want to bring on a star who's just amazing. And she truly is the anchor to I call her the captain of the team right now, but there's some people that are fighting her for that position. Miss Alicia Grant, could you come on and please teach the enrollment conversation?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that introduction. Okay, family, we're going to hop right in the water. I've got something amazing for you today. So I hope you got a pen and a paper, because if you get this one piece, this is the foundation for which you could build the rest of your building in this business, in life, really, just with the value of this conversation. And that's the enrollment conversation. So I'm about to give you the recipe. It's in 4 parts. So the first part is the CTA. That's your call to action. Now, this specific step is broken into 2 parts. The first one is the intro. So obviously you're going to welcome them to the call. You're going to pay them a compliment, and you're going to be able to gauge who the prospect is that you're speaking to. So it could look something like this. Hey, Tammy, thank you so much for taking this call. I've heard so many amazing things about you. I heard about your incredible work ethic, that you're an amazing mother, that you have big dreams and goals about leaving legacy. Is all of this true? And based on how she responds to that statement, you're going to realize if this is the person who wants to get right to the point, or if this is somebody who you can engage with a little more and have further conversation. So a shark is going to give you a short 1-word answer. Same thing with the urchin. And then your dolphin and whales, they're going to laugh along with you, and you'll know the tone of your conversation. Now, the second part of this call to action is your demand. You're going to state exactly what it is that you're looking for and why they're on the call. You don't want people just sitting here thinking we're just meeting for lunch. We have a point. There's a purpose here. And so you tell them exactly what you're looking for. So this is where you would say, listen, we're launching we're working on a project. We're looking for 3 individuals. We already have 2. We're looking to close this out in the next 24 to 48 hours and fill this position. But what I've heard about you, it sounds like you do fit the bill. By the end of this 2-minute conversation, we'll know if we're speaking the same language, and we could take things to the next level. So at this point, you've welcomed them, you've paid them a compliment, you know who it is that you're talking to, and then you've stated exactly what the purpose of the call is. So now we can transition into step number 2. This is the story. Always remember that stories sell, facts tell. And so what you want to do in sharing your story, you're going to touch on 3 points: who you are, what you do, and why you do it. Now, this is not a time to have a therapy session or to let them know all of your entire life story. You're really pulling out the parts of your story that you know will relate to your prospect. So we can all relate to a time in our lives where we were overworked, underpaid, underappreciated, and just looking for something else, looking for something more in order to create the lifestyle that we all envision. And so you're going to want to pay attention and pull out those parts of your story. So for me, you know, I went to school, I got a degree, I climbed the corporate ladder, and what I found at the top is my responsibilities went through the roof, but my paycheck wasn't adding up. And my family was getting whatever was left of me at the end of the day after I'd given all my best energy to my workplace. So at this point, I was tired, I was overworked, and I was underpaid. Can you relate? So that is my story in a quick little nutshell, only the parts that are going to catch the listening of whoever it is that I'm speaking to. Always remember, your prospect is thinking, what's in it for me? So sharing your entire life story doesn't tell them what is in the value package that we have here for them. Always give them what they need to understand that this is the value and this is what it is that they are looking for. Okay? After you've done that, oh, sorry, one last piece. Let me not forget this, because this is crucial. You also want to include in your story how you were introduced to this information. So you heard Tammy say that she went to a women's empowerment event. For me, I went to a networking event and I met somebody, Mr. Byron, who shared with me how residual income works and taught me about financial literacy. And then I was introduced to a family. So you want to add that piece into your story so they understand how you came upon this opportunity in the first place. Now we'll move on to step number 3, and that's the how. So we're telling them that we can create all this extra income or whatever it is for them, but they're going to want to know how. There's no gotchas here. We want them to know straight up front what it is that we do. However, there's certain buzzwords that people have a preconceived notion or a certain interpretation about. So right away, if you say network marketing and somebody has had a bad experience or something like that, they can't hear you anymore. They're automatically turned off. But they don't understand that we have a different system here. The way we do things, the culture and everything around that is different. So we want them to be able to hear us. So instead of mentioning network marketing and all of this, we'll just tell them exactly what we do. We broker services. We're able to help people save on services that they're already paying for. Something very general, but that explains exactly what we do. That way, there's no gotchas here, but we do want to explain to them that we are dealing with services. And we're leveraging a system that is already built for success. That is the most important part, because it doesn't matter if it's network marketing, if it's cooking, it doesn't matter what it is. It's a system that's built for success and proven success. And you can highlight that here. Then we can move on to step number 4. Now you're also closing the same way that you opened, with a call to action. And now, but in this call to action, you first want to check in and see if you've got their attention. So you can ask a simple question like, at this point in the conversation, do I have your full attention? If they say yes to you, well, then you know we can move to the next step. You're going to want to instruct them and let them know, get back with, let's say it was Tammy who invited you to the call. Get back with Tammy. It's only going to cost you 30 minutes of time, but I need you to understand how we get paid here. I need you to see the marketing plan, to understand where it is that we're going, and the engine that's going to fuel and create the resources you need to build your dreams, what it is that you're working towards. So you're going to want to put some urgency on that. Because if we say, just book a 30-minute appointment, well, then they'll say, I'll get back to you in 2 weeks. You're going to say, over the next 24 to 48 hours, I need you to get back and see this marketing plan so we can move forward. And then at that point, I would love to have an additional conversation with you to put together a game plan once you have the entire picture. So, and then, of course, you're going to want to close with the thank you for your time. We always appreciate people and their time. They could have been doing anything in the world, but they came to hear and see what it is that we have for them. So I'm just going to run through those 4 points one more time very quickly. First one is your call to action. Second is your story. Third is the how. And 4, you're closing with a call to action. So if you get those 4 points and you master this recipe, all it takes is practice. You're going to add an extra comma to your bank account and build the rest of your business on this strong foundation. Thank you so much. I'll turn it back to you, Mr. Byron Nelson.
So I just want to understand how I do this presentation. So Janika, could you tell me how to do this presentation again? Because I want to make sure that you took notes from what she said and you duplicated what she said. Janika, can you come on, please?
Absolutely. Is Tammy unmuted?
She is. She can be. Tammy, unmute.
Yes.
Awesome. Hi, Tammy. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you. Yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. Tammy, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. I've heard nothing but amazing things about you from Stephanie. Stephanie told me that you have amazing work ethic. She said you're spiritually grounded. You've been helping a lot of women in the real estate space. You're taking care of your family, and you still have the time to make lunch for your husband. Did she lie about any of this?
No.
Awesome. Look, Tammy, the reason why we're having this conversation today is that I'm looking for 3 finishers. I already have 2. And based on what Stephanie told me about you, I already know that you're the 3rd. Look, I'm going to be real with you, sister to sister, Tammy. It really wasn't that long ago that I was jumping out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning and running to a plantation where I was overworked, I was underpaid, and I was just not valued. And so it wasn't until I started reading our Constitution every day, and our Constitution being the Bible, that I truly understand who I was. I am the seed of Abraham. And if Abraham's seed is blessed, then that means that I'm blessed. I'm above and not beneath. I'm the head and not the tail. I am chosen by God. And so, Tammy, once I realized this, I just started rewriting the narrative to me working on my legacy as opposed to working on another company's legacy. Does this resonate with you, Tammy?
Absolutely. Amen.
Awesome. So, Tammy, the invitation is to a family. I'm inviting you to a family. We pray together, we empower each other, and we grow mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially together. So, Tammy, based on what Stephanie said, I already know that you're going to fit right in with this family. So as I mentioned to you, I have 1 spot to fill within the next 24 hours, and I still have a couple of calls to make. So what I want you to do, I need you to call Tammy, I need you to call Stephanie and tell Stephanie that you are number 3 and you would like a call within the next 24 hours so that I can show you the how-to. Tammy, thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure. Have yourself an amazing Friday.
Thank you. You too.
which is kind of ridiculous because I still need to understand how that was done, because I can record this, but you don't understand the flow. I don't understand the flow. So Stephanie, could you teach me exactly what I just heard? Because I want to know how to do that, so I never have to rely on Mr. Al Thomas to do another three-way call for me ever. Could you do that? I want to build my own dynasty.
Absolutely, absolutely. So listen, we've been going over the enrollment conversation. You guys have heard what it sounds like, but the reason we keep going over it is because this key in particular will take your business to the next level. Already on this call, Mr. Nelson stated very plainly that once you take responsibility and accountability for your own conversation, that's when your business can take off. Outside of that, you have to wait for your upline to talk to your team. You have to wait for your upline to talk to your team's prospects as well as your own prospects. So we're going to go over the enrollment conversation, the 4 steps that Ms. Alicia Grant just shared with us. And if you didn't get them the first time, you're going to want to get them this time. So right off the bat, you're going to say hello to the prospect, and you want to get right into the meat of the conversation. So there's going to be a call to action. And you're going to start off by complimenting them. Now, you're going to start off by saying something that you already know to be true about them. Make sure that you're genuine, because people can tell when you're not being genuine. So you compliment them. And based on their response to your compliment, you can tell, does this person want me to get right to the information, or are they a whale or a dolphin and they're going to laugh at my jokes? So you can kind of feel them out in the first couple seconds, but make sure that you compliment to build some rapport. Right after that, let them know what you're on the conversation for. Now, this is called the call to action, because you're placing the demand on the conversation, and you let them know, I'm looking for 3 individuals. I have 2 so far. And what that's going to do is let them know that, hey, they're actually filling these positions. They're filling these spots. People want to be working with them and in partnership with them. And you let that be known right at the beginning of the conversation. And you can even say something like 24 hours, 48 hours, in the next 3 days. You let them know how long these positions are going to be open for. So that's step number 1. Step number 2 is who. So this is your story. And this might be the very first conversation that they're having with you. So you want to let them know where you are right now. You're also going to share with them where you've been and where you're going. So just to break that down for my own story, I could say something like, right now, I am working with an amazing organization, but where I was when this information came to me was that I was overworked, I was overextended, and I was stressed and tired. But then I was able to connect with an amazing family who showed me step number 3, which is how. Now, at this point, you're going to simply share with them what it is that we do. We help people save money on bills that they're already paying, or make money off of bills that they're paying. And at this point in time, you can simply share with them what is going to resonate with them. So you already know if you're talking to a shark. And if you're talking to a shark, you can mention the fact that over the past 5 years, I should say, we've grossed in excess of $4 billion. So you bring out the pieces that are really going to resonate with this person. And then finally, another call to action at the end, just in case they forgot why you guys are on the conversation, you remind them, hey, I need you to get back with this partner, and let them know that you're either the 3rd person we're looking for, or if it's not the right time for you, then we just ask you to support what it is that they're working on. And you can even throw in some reverse edification of your partner so that they know that you, as the expert, respect the partner. And if they choose to work with that individual, they are in good hands. So those are the 4 steps of the enrollment conversation. A call to action right at the beginning. Number 2 is who you are. You introduce yourself and your story. Number 3, how. How is it that you came into contact with this information, and how is it changing your life? And then finally, number 4, you're going to place another call to action into the conversation so that they know it's not in 25 days that we want to hear from them. If they are the person that we're looking for, they're going to let us know within the next 24 hours. So that is the enrollment conversation.
Considering I started at about 9:06, 9:07, I'm gonna use the last 3 minutes. I want you to hear some testosterone so you don't think it's just all estrogen on here. Even though this is a women's beast crew, I do have a few men in the crew. So we just are running out of time, but I want you to hear Edmund to close out. So maybe you can actually put together how we do it with we're actually doing it. Because I can tell you in closing this out before I turn it back over to Mr. Al Thomas, This small crew, this sniper crew, all has on an average of 3 to 4 people already going into the system as of this week. We're at the 6. We're putting 100 IBOs qualified in the system with this system. It's being documented. It will be the most ridiculous crew you've ever seen. But then you got to ask yourself, how much are you working on your craft every day? Because this is 2 to 3 hours in between and around lunch, single parenting, a brand new birth of a child, taking care of a mother that's sick, being able to juggle a family, listening to noise in the back, trying to find a quiet place where Stephanie is. All this, every excuse you have, we're in this. Like, you have no freaking idea, like the passion of Christ. So I'm gonna let Edmund come on so y'all can know that it's not just all women here, just to have a little taste of a little testosterone. Edmund, could you come on and just share with me and teach me how to do, I mean, could you do a present enrollment conversation? I want to get in the business.
Most certainly. Miss Janika, can you unmute yourself, please?
Absolutely.
Well, beautiful morning, Miss Janika. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
Fantastic is right. My goodness. Miss Stephanie Kerr told me so much about you. So correct me if I'm wrong, but to my understanding, you are a woman of God with a deep understanding of who you are as a child of Christ. You have a phenomenal character. Your integrity is second to none, and your work ethic is inspiring. Now, did she lie about that at all?
Sounds like I need to put her on payroll.
I gotta say, you got yourself an agent. Well, wonderful. Well, I only have a couple minutes to get your full attention, but I am so excited to speak with you, which is why I brought you into the front of the line of everyone I have to speak with today. So, Miss Janika, based on what I've been told about you, you are the last leader we're looking for to fill in this position within the next 24 hours for this megalith of a legacy project with our global family of champion entrepreneurs. Now, given that this conversation, which is simply an invitation, grabs your attention, we can take this discussion to a higher level. Now, are you with me so far?
Absolutely.
Excellent, excellent. So allow me to share with you a very simple story. Now, imagine with me, once upon a time, it is late at night, and we see a young man driving home from a 14-hour day on a film set in Los Angeles. Now, that's not unusual for that kind of work hours. But what is unusual and was wonderful is this young man had a check in his hand. And it doesn't matter how tired he was, he gonna deposit that check. It was really nice. So on the way home, he slid in that check into the ATM, healthy balance, and the month is just getting started. So it is exciting. Darn near skips into his car. But before he has a chance to even turn on the ignition, that smile got slapped off his face because he had a really strong revelation he could no longer deny. And here's what it was. See that check? One time. So if he's going to want to make another one, he's going to put in another 14 plus hours again and again and again and again. And so long as somebody not him has control of his time and money, it's going to be inevitable where he's going to have to choose between either put his time in for a check or be there for who and what matters most, especially if it's a family emergency. Now, that young man was me. And I don't know about you, but if I'm going to have to choose between being there for who what matters most to me or be there for some people who just care about what I can do for them as opposed to who I am, I'm going with family. Can you relate?
Absolutely, 100%.
Excellent. I'm talking to the right person. See, I made a decision to be among the 3 percentile of money earners in the world because the 3%, they found a way to have both time and money together. Now, upon that, I made a conversation with a family friend of mine who was among the 1 percenters. And he introduced me to a family who had no benefit, but still supported me to have both time and money because they knew my situation. Now, Miss Janika, wouldn't you love to have both time and money and in abundance at that?
Like yesterday.
Amen. Amen. So I have 2 words for you. It's called residual income. Have you ever experienced residual income?
Not at all.
Oh my, okay. So you're going to love this because this is your freedom ticket. See, residual income changes the game in your favor. See, this is where you don't have to go looking for money, but money comes looking for you, no matter where you need to be or where you desire to be. So not only in this family do we teach you how to earn residual income, but to keep it and to multiply it. And imagine what that'll do for your family, not just in this lifetime, but the next generation and the generation after that, because we're about legacies. So Miss Janika, do I have your full attention thus far?
100%.
Phenomenal. So it's going to get even better. So here's what I need you to do. I need to do me a really big favor. As soon as we hang up, and no longer than 24 hours, get back to Miss Stephanie, who brought us together, and let her know you are the one we're looking for. Because I'm going to need her to send you some information so you understand how we get paid. So we can set an appointment no longer than 40 minutes. So I can show you not only how this works, but that this works. Because working with me, within 30 days, we're gonna put a really nice deposit in your bank account. But this one, it's gonna happen over and over and over again, and you only have to work once. Can you do that for me?
Absolutely.
Phenomenal. You are making my day so far. I am glad you were the first person I spoke to this morning. So you have a phenomenal, phenomenal Friday. We will be in touch, okay?
Thank you. You as well.
Okay.
Now, if you actually took note to exactly, is it duplicating? I'm not showcasing one person that went out there and went RD. I'm showing you 100 people that are going RVP in under a year. In a system in which I don't have to worry about, well, what do I say? Well, where do I take them next? Well, do I get the list from them? How do I work the list? How do I get, if you bring in 3 people on your team that just say, I'm interested, you should never have to sponsor another person for the next year because you owned your business. This is not a conversation to train in front of a stage or for thousands of people. I only elected to do it because of Mr. Al Thomas and your guys' commitment to getting on this call every week. But let me just ask you this last question before I turn it over to Mr. Al Thomas. Do you go buy a franchise called the Cheesecake Factory and only open it up once a week? That's not how you learn how to do anything. What you're seeing is night and day from the time I started working with them. And if you know any of them, you know that personality, that enthusiasm, that content and everything, and anybody can do it. Everybody was invited. Nobody usually shows up until somebody, and they're the somebodies that I'm so proud of this morning, have shown up. Every day they show up. And that's why they're all putting in a minimum of 25 IBOs this month. They're all having, it's the 100-100 club, 100 points, 100 IBOs, period. Not a year from now, not 2 years from now, not stuck at ETL, not stuck at RD. You will see them all in under 90 days walking as RD. You will see them in under a year all walking as an RVP. And I'm just getting started. Mr. Al Thomas, that's your Friday training. I love you. The board is all yours.